there. Today I'm going to read the story of Little Red Riding Hood. There was once a sweet little girl who was loved by everyone. As a present, the girl's grandmother made her a little riding hood of red velvet. The cap pleased the girl so much that she always wore it, and so she became known as Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother asked her to take a basket of cakes and wine to her grandmother. "She has been sick and weak," her mother said, "and this food will surely strengthen her." But before Little Red Riding Hood set out, her mother warned her to be good and not to stray from the path. "You may get lost or trip and fall, and then your grandmother will get nothing." Little Red Riding Hood promised to obey her mother's wishes, and off she went, skipping through the forest. She had not gone far when she came upon a wolf. Not knowing what a wicked animal he was, she gave him a friendly greeting and told him she was going to visit her grandmother on the other side of the woods. When the wolf heard this, he was pleased, for he was very hungry, and now he could look forward to two delicious meals, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. But he was a clever wolf, and was careful not to alarm the child. Instead, the wolf walked along beside her and spoke in a soft voice. "Isn't the forest lovely today?" he said. "Look at all the beautiful flowers. It would be a pity to hurry past them." Little Red Riding Hood looked around and saw how right the wolf was. Sunbeams danced through the trees, the birds were singing merrily, and there were flowers everywhere. Grandmother would certainly like a nice bunch of wildflowers, Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself, and so she skipped off the path and began gathering a big bouquet. Meanwhile, the wolf sped through the woods all the way to the grandmother's cottage and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" cried the grandmother in her weak voice. "It is I, Little Red Riding Hood," cried the wolf. So the grandmother opened the door, and the wolf swallowed her in a single gulp. Then he put on her nightgown and her lace cap, and settled down to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. When Little Red Riding Hood reached her grandmother's cottage, she was surprised to find the door wide open. She poked her head in and looked around. "Good morning, grandmother," she called, but there was no answer. Feeling a little frightened, Little Red Riding Hood went to her grandmother's room. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!" she cried. "The better to hear you with," said the wolf. "But, grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with," said the wolf. "But, grandmother, what big teeth you have!" "The better to eat you with." With that, the wolf sprang out of the bed and gobbled up poor Little Red Riding Hood in a single swallow. After that, the wolf was so full that he lay back down in the bed and fell into a heavy sleep. Now, it happened that a huntsman was passing by, and seeing the cottage door open, he became suspicious. Carefully he went inside, and there he found the wolf lying asleep in the grandmother's bed. He was about to shoot the wolf dead with his rifle, when he suddenly thought the wolf might have eaten the grandmother, and that perhaps she could still be saved. So he took out his knife and carefully cut open the wolf's belly. Out jumped Little Red Riding Hood. "Thank you," she exclaimed. It was so dark inside the wolf. Out came the grandmother as well, who was still alive, although she was feeling rather weak. Little Red Riding Hood quickly fetched some large stones. These she placed inside the sleeping wolf's belly, and the hunter sewed him up again. When the wolf awoke and tried to run away, he was so heavy that he fell down at once and died. The hunter, Little Red Riding Hood, and her grandmother all danced with joy. Then the brave huntsman skinned the wolf and took the fur home. The grandmother ate the cakes and drank the wine, which made her feel much stronger. As for Little Red Riding Hood, she skipped happily all the way home, but she had learned her lesson, and she never strayed from the path again.